Joe, use the mute button.
Hi, this is James O'Keefe. Welcome to another Pirate News. I'm joined by Joe, Malt, and Steve, not necessarily in that order as you're seeing it. How are you all, folks?
I'm doing fantabulous. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day, guys. Hopefully it's a piratey Valentine's Day.
Oh, it is indeed. It is indeed.
So we have a couple things to talk about this evening. Let's start off with the obvious, where we're talking about the impeachment. So even some Republicans came over, but unfortunately did not have enough to really make it happen.
Right, only 57 voted and 43 voted against.
I mean, that's I wasn't expecting a conviction. I mean, just with a 50-50 split in the Senate, it's that 2/3 bar seemed just a little too high for me.
One thing I found interesting was I forget who this is. I will look this up shortly, but someone on Twitter did some analysis and found out that with American states and the population distribution in the Senate, 1/3 of the country has held majority-minority status basically uninterrupted since the beginning of the country. So like this whole,
I mean, that sounds like a way it was designed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a republic is merely an oligarchy with democratic trappings.
Yeah, like if we want an actually populist government, we need to abolish the Senate. No way around it at this point.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of things we need to do. That's first. That's an important one.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of corruption going on. What's the deal with the Clearview that I just heard about?
Right. So this came back over 10 days ago, if I recall correctly. In Canada, they have privacy commissioners, and 4 of them found that Clearview AI went and illegally basically violated Canadian privacy laws. Wow, it's a country that has them, by collecting photos of Canadians without their knowledge or their consent. Of course, they've been doing that throughout the world, and the U.S. Doesn't have privacy laws to try and go after them with.
Just as a quick primer for those of you who might not remember, Clearview AI, funded by Peter Thiel, who is a ghoul and literal vampire who subsists on the blood of the young. Also, Clearview was found to have hired a number of literal Nazis and alt-right provocateurs. So they need to be shut the fuck down.
Well, they're a facial recognition company, which, I mean, having all the baggage that facial recognition that comes along with facial recognition these days. But originally, the company said that their claimed that their software was basically only for use by law enforcement. They had a data leak some time ago. I forget exactly when, but their customer list was one of the things that was compromised, and it ain't just law enforcement. So.
Right, and they've been pulling images from all over the world to go and train their AI, which probably is just as inaccurate, especially if you're a person of color, as all the other facial recognition AIs.
It's phrenology. It is,
yes,
at the purest level, phrenology. And the fact that it is given any weight at the civic level at all should be terrifying. Worcester has had this problem lately where the police officer, the police chief has requested additional funds for the shot spotter predicative policing algorithm, which is hogwash pseudoscientific nonsense that deserves zero capital. And in fact, anyone who advocates for it should be mocked publicly and have rotten fruit thrown at them every time they set foot outside their overpriced mansions. So, sorry, I'm just cranky.
Oh no, I was going to say, I mean, if you think about facial recognition, I would honestly be I would have suspected that Facebook is probably at the top of the list, if for no other reason than they have what's got to be one of the largest volumes of photos of people, ever assembled. And, the fact that users are willing to tag other, tag who's in the photos, it's just, that's really useful training information, or could be useful training information.
Yeah, we're doing it for them. Shouldn't we get paid?
Someone needs to update communist philosophy for the internet age, because back in the late 19th century, it was all about capitalists scraping excess value, or using workers to produce value, and benefiting from their labor and not paying so much.
Yeah, surplus value. Yeah.
Surplus value. Yeah. So today, tech companies do the same thing, but they don't really pay users at all.
a lot of the communist user base on Twitter is highly attractive women that I would allow to murder me without question or recompense. So I will be surprised.
On that note, let's please move on.
It's Valentine's Day. What the heck? But speaking of Facebook, I do have one other story about them. There's a company called Proofpoint. They're like an enterprise security company, and one of the things that they'll do is kind of friendly pen testing, where go after, send phishing email. Company hires them. They send some phishing emails to employees of the company, and, try to, in an effort to teach employees not to click on, suspicious links. So as part of this effort, they own a couple of domain names, which are close misspellings of Facebook and Instagram. Apparently Facebook and Instagram was not too keen on this, and raised an issue using ICANN's Universal Dispute Forum. They wanted to take the domain names away from Proofpoint. Proofpoint has filed a countersuit saying that, we're not infringing on your trademark. We're using these for pen testing. And well, we'll see how this plays out. But that's just, that strikes me as totally, to me, it does not seem like trademark infringement. It's, that's somebody's lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to the site and it doesn't show Facebook, then
you go to the site and it says we're a security testing company.
Right.
So,
And there's zero reason that a company as profitable as Facebook should not already own every possible domain misspelling of their username. When I registered my personal blog, I got the .com and .org domains just in case. If you're Facebook and you don't own Factbook, fuck you. You deserve the shit that comes from. All the money in the world, and they cannot do that least bit to protect their users, should convey all we need to know about how much they can be trusted with our data, which
just
is not at all.
Small correction. I don't necessarily. I question how much of Facebook's motivation involves protection of their user base.
Smart.
Just saying.
Considering they're scraping all the images and doing whatever they want to do. Although it's funny, I hear on the photography blogs that I look at that photographers get very upset because Facebook does not, goes and pulls out any metadata about the photos so that if you look at the photo and it has a copyright in it, then that gets stripped out when it gets uploaded. So they get photographers who are concerned about those things, get upset about that. So it's just an interesting data point.
It makes like records keeping impossible. It is a huge slap in the face to digital archivists. Yeah. It is such like a zero effort change that could be made tomorrow that they just refuse to make because the users are not the focus of Facebook. The users are the product.
I mean, speaking of like security and other things going on and craziness, what's that Joe Biden appeal?
Man,
Sure.
if I knew Bernie would be president.
Yeah, so Joe Biden, his Department of Justice. So, for those of you who don't know, the Trump administration filed to extradite Julian Assange, who's in Belmar, I believe, prison in the United Kingdom, to extradite him to the U.S. to face charges for his involvement in revealing various stuff. Various government documents that should be revealed to the rest of us so that we know what our government is doing.
It
But
was video from drones showing the American government attacking like weddings and funeral services.
yeah, I think the AH-64 helicopters Hellfire Strike is in there too. But but anyways, that went before a judge in Great Britain, and that judge decided that no, if he came to the U.S., then his life would be in jeopardy. So he decided that they would not extradite him to the U.S. So now the Biden DOJ has decided to appeal that decision. And so Julian Assange is not out of, well, I mean, he's still in jail for a long time, more than likely. But, his life is still in jeopardy, and our First Amendment rights to freedom of the press are also in jeopardy.
Like as questionable as some of his personal choices have been, like we have to acknowledge that like ideologically he is a fairly important figurehead in the fight for free access. And like, yeah, the American government cannot be trusted at all when it comes to anything involving Julian Assange. Like the case that the accusers, like the women accusers, have brought against him is fairly well established, but like that would be a pretext for the American government to just murder him in lockup.
I think those charges were dropped in Sweden, but I mean, for me, the issue is if you do this to Julian Assange and you say, well, if you help a source gather information and give you that information for you, a media organization, to publish, then there are going to be an awful lot of journalists who could very well, American journalists at that, who could very well be in jail as a result of that. And so, that hinders our freedom of the press, hinders our right to know what our government is doing, transparency, government transparency. And if he gets extradited to the U.S., it's really going to harm free speech and freedom of the press.
I mean, plus, Jeffrey Epstein definitely didn't kill himself.
I'm pretty sure that Talia Levine, a Twitter or an anti-fascist Twitter journalist, is still in NYPD custody after being arrested at an F-12 protest. So like this is happening. Like domestic journalists are being rounded up and arrested for speaking out on matters of police brutality.
Absolutely.
And this is my nipple.
So there's something about Tesla. Thanks. Really. Great.
Yeah,
Sorry, I had a screaming in the background. I'm trying to keep it to a minimum.
Appreciate that.
36,000. 36,000 Model X and Model S have been recalled due to safety issues involving the touchscreen. Specifically, the memory chip involved in the touchscreen has like a physical limit to the number of times it can be rewritten. And every time it's interacted with, it's rewritten, which basically means that every single Model X and Model S has a hard limit to the number of times it can be turned on and off before it stops working. And like you think about the touch screen, you think it's mostly like media controls, but actually the entire flippin' car is run through a single piece of SRAM hardware that has a physical limitation to the number of times it can be rewritten.
Well,
And it
actually, that's true of any solid state storage device. You know, they wear out, but I mean, usually you have an overwrite capacity of like a bazillion times, and so if they're hitting this capacity, is it just shoddy hardware, or are they doing like lots more writes than usual?
Or is an upgrade feature that you need to pay for?
both, all three at the same time. And in addition to this, they have also started adding additional seats to a number of the models. Like you can get one that has two rear-facing seats that are only safe for children. And if you are an adult riding in them and you're at a low speed collision, you'll die. Um, and then there are some forward facing seats that they've added into the cargo space that if you're at a low speed collision, your head physically impacts the hinge where the trunk closes and then you die.
It's like the
So
70s all over again, where you remember station wagons where they'd have those fold up seats that were facing the other way for the kids.
Tesla, Tesla is a perfect example of what happens when you ignore institutional expertise. You have to learn all of the stupid dipshit problems all over again. And Tesla has managed to figure out how to do that while making profit off of like Bitcoin millionaires. So like I respect them for taking money from people who don't deserve it. But there are going to be some pedestrians who die because Tesla does not care about the quality of the product they produce. And like, oh, the other thing that Tesla did, Joe, was that Elon Musk hyped Dogecoin during the middle of that absolute tulip mania Reddit Wall Street bets moment. And then like not even a week later, Bitcoin bought over $1 billion, or Tesla bought over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, which is a different competing Ponzi scheme. So like, what is even happening?
I wonder if. Oh, go ahead,
No, go,
Nathan.
Steve. No, you go.
No, I was going to say, yeah, well, first 2 points with, I mean, on the silver lining of Tesla, unlike Ford Pintos, they do not have gas tanks, so they will not explode when you rear end them.
The lithium batteries absolutely explode. Like I have seen some
Silver
excellent
linings, but
video.
yeah, they explode.
Okay, well, the second is, I mean, I know that there are, some fairly tight rules around security trading, where if you leak something about one in order to be, where you have to be careful about your public announcements where that might influence price. Although I guess perhaps in this case, cryptocurrencies aren't technically securities, so maybe that doesn't apply.
There has definitely been manipulation going on, and Wall Street Bets has definitely been a medium for that manipulation. And like, I'm not sure where, like, at what point the cyborg accounts jumped in to start hyping various shit, but there's definitely been people with botnets, people with compromised accounts, people with just influence networks have been acting to their own personal gain. And like, I honestly don't know at what point regulation would help.
Mm-hmm. In a sense, the pumping up one of them. I can remember for years getting spam about penny stocks. The idea is you get a couple of people to buy in, the price goes up, and someone sells. Likewise, I mean, if you look at the way bots and disinformation campaigns were used to influence our election in 2016. I'm not at all surprised to see that going on with something like Bitcoin. It wouldn't be surprised to see it in the financial markets.
Yeah, finance is completely unprepared for the democratization of their platform. Like, MSNBC had that one dude who was absolutely batshit insane and would make absolute nonsense prognostications. But like, once you bring in Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, like, you're going to see an ocean of people who buy up huge amounts of penny stocks and then like pump the value of it and then dump. And it's going to happen on a scale of like 100 to 1,000 people. And like, the specific volumes and values made aren't going to be enough to trigger like the existing archaic like fraud detectors, because it's happening on a scale of like one person at their keyboard who influencing 100 people who don't know better. And like, sorry.
I was going to say, speaking of which, how's GameStop doing these days?
Well, Bitcoin's at $48,000 a Bitcoin.
What?
No, yeah, really. I mean, I thought the Tesla, the justification that I got was that Tesla would be selling them in Bitcoin, which I thought, okay, so here's an object, a car, where once you've purchased it, you have to go and register it. You have to get insurance. There's a lot of paperwork that goes on with that. It is clear that you own that car. So to think about using Bitcoin, which ostensibly is for anonymous transactions, although pseudo-anonymous is really the case, but what in any way does that help except as a way of inflating the value of Bitcoin? And then potentially, if Bitcoin's value drops dramatically, suddenly Tesla is going to find itself lacking. If it drops by 2/3, then it's going to be out $1 billion, right?
I am going to bet that Tesla bought Bitcoin because Elon Musk has a significant amount of his net worth tied up in cryptocurrencies. Like, that is just the kind of dipshit rich dude move that would. I love the dog, by the way. It's just the kind of dipshit rich dude move that he would do, because he knows he's going to get away with it.
But I mean, he's already has, what was he like? At least for some point, he was the richest person on the planet just from his Tesla stock, right?
Yeah, it's like, it's not enough for him to be rich. It's not enough for him to be famous, for him to be loved by like the worst aspect of Twitter, for him to be married to a literal pop star. Like, he's not going to, Elon Musk isn't going to be satisfied until he has a literal orgy cult in his name.
Is there a competition between him and Bezos?
I believe he does.
Not necessarily on the orgy. The orgy cult
probably
thing,
not on the orgy with Bezos, but
I'm pretty sure memes, Reddit on memes is the orgy cult. It's like a tie between him and John Wick.
I don't understand the appeal. Like, for me, I want to be rich so I can stop caring what the internet thinks about me. Like, that is the point of money. But like, he can't buy traditional fame through financing like successful, well-made Hollywood movies. So instead, he'll invite Iggy Azalea to his palace, and then realize he's confused her with a totally other pop star. And then, like, at this point, he's peaking on acid, so he just hides in his mansion.
I guess this is the new rock star, huh?
So is there going to be a new Citizen Kane about Elon Musk, or
If
would
Elon
we even
Musk,
watch it?
I will
Didn't
write
he-
the Citizen Kane of Elon Musk if Elon Musk pays me. Like, he
Didn't
can
he-
give me a value of money way lower than you might be expecting for like an all-time famous Hollywood movie, and I will write that script.
What if he pays you in Bitcoin?
I will have very well stipulated contracts that account for that kind of nonsense. And
Sorry, you're going to
Didn't
say, Joe?
Didn't Elon Musk actually have more money than Jeff Bezos for like 5 seconds? Like,
it's
just
not
for like
real
just a short
money.
amount of time.
Like,
I
at this
mean,
point, we have to admit
At that point,
it's just nonsense. It is utterly unhinged from reality. Like, it's not value. It's like, how much smoke can they blow up the asses of their investors? That's what they're really measuring. And the only reason they've fallen behind Jack Ma is because Jack Ma is in Chinese prison right now. Like, him and a bunch of Uyghurs are producing whatever it is they sell on AliExpress right now. That's why Jack Ma is missing. And now, having said that, I can never go to China. Like, they will arrest me in the air. Having said that, that's
Probably.
a by the way.
yeah. Again, he doesn't. He looks like his mother, but acts like me. So I'm already saving up for the bail money. But that being said, yeah, I'm pretty sure that if I went to China, just with me being the wonderful, open-minded, open-mouth type of individual, I wouldn't be leaving either, at all.
They
But
might
then
not
again,
even let you in.
they probably won't. They probably already know me, and they're like, that guy.
Hi.
And that's
Hi, buddy.
and this is my little pirate here, and he's he very much just rated
Hi.
this whole thing.
Hey, buddy. Let me just cover that up real quick.
And with that, guys, thank you very much for a wonderful conversation. I think we hit on a lot of good points and a lot of craziness that's going on, and definitely hit that thumbs up for if you love baby pirates. And happy Valentine's Day, and thank you guys for always keeping it real.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks.
Consent is sexy.
And we're done.